This is my accepted Google Summer of Code 2025 proposal. The document got me into Django Software Foundation, the org behind Django Web Framework, and by the end of that summer my code was in Django Core. I'm going to show you this entire proposal in this video later. To the people wondering, what is Google Summer of Code? Google pays you to contribute to open source project. You pick an organization, you write a proposal, and if you get accepted, you spend the summer writing real code for that project. Here's how the timeline works. First, Google announces the list of organizations, then you have a few weeks to pick one. Plan out how you are gonna implement the project, talk to mentors, and submit your proposal. After that, selected students are announced and you start coding. Now, here's something most people get wrong. Every org puts out a list of project ideas. Apply to those. I know you have your own brilliant idea, and maybe it is brilliant, but here's the thing, those listed projects have a mentor ready, someone who already said, yes, I want to guide a student on this. Your custom ideas, there might be nobody available to mentor it. No mentor, no acceptance, simple as that. Django was my first web framework that I learned. Actually, like first programming framework. I learned Python by using Django. So it has a special place in my heart. I always wanted to contribute to Django, but I was afraid. And I also did not have the courage or the ability to contribute because I did not fully understand how contributions work. So in 2024, I applied there. I was selected at Django Notes Space program. What it does is, there are Django Notes, and they provide them a mentor that help them to contribute to Django and Django related packages. They help with any issue you get. They help with selecting issues. They help with a lot of problems that beginners face when first contributing to a big repository. So I contributed to django-packages.org. That's a Django website that hosts different Django packages and Django apps, and it is a kind of a resource like where Django developers can go and see what packages they can use for their Django apps. I also contributed to Django. I found one ticket that was some regex fix. I contributed to Django using that ticket. It was an easy fix, but it introduced me to the whole process, how you contribute to Django. So that gave me confidence. So I decided to apply for Google Summer of Code 2025. I'm going to talk about the technical stuff now. So if you are not interested in technical aspect of my project, you can skip this part and move to actual proposal part. Timestamps are in video description. You can see like where we are going to talk about the actual proposal. So what project I selected was to bring Django Template-partials into Django Core. Django Template-partial is a package that allow the reuse of actual like HTML partials. Like we can define a partial here and we can like re-render it in here. So that was the package. We wanted to bring that package into actual like Django template language, not the actual Django template language. I'm going to explain it in detail when we are actually kind of seeing the code. We were gonna actually integrate Django template partials into the default Django backend of the Django template language, not other backends, because Django template language actually supports different backend like Jinja 2, and this is the default like backend for Django template language. Django template language consists of these blocks. We can use these blocks, and we can actually use Python variables that are defined in our views, and we can use those variables inside of our HTML. It is a DSL, like domain specific language. It is a like extension of HTML that allows running Python code inside of an HTML when we kind of render the template for Django. So how it kind of works is I actually like studied Django template. I'm not going to explain it in detail because you don't have to kind of know like how Django works, but I'm kind of explaining it because if you want to make sense of my proposal, it kind of is important to, so we have kind of understanding of Django template language. So I wrote this blog. So Django template language actually consists of these. It has a lexer that actually converts the strings into actual tokens. There are about three types of token: text, var, and block. Text is just HTML, normal HTML that is going to be rendered as an HTML. Var is an actual variable that we are going to render using Python variables, and block is kind of a node like if node, for node that is actually like kind of converted into nodes. So block is a token that will actually convert it into nodes. So what parser does, it reads these tokens and then it compiles into it like a template class, like a base compiled template. So that template exists of node. The nodes object are actually the class classes that kind of renders actual HTML in Django template language. Variable node, if that actually kind of runs the logic and actually outputs the HTML. The engine kind of brings all of these things together. Loaders actually load the templates are .html files, so we are gonna read it from the file system, memory or cache, from whatever. So loaders actually do that work, and the backends are actually like the DSLs that implement those nodes. What we wanted was to bring Django template partials into our Django template language. So how I like studied for my proposal. I started to research on like how I'm gonna build it. For this project, Django templates bring Django template partials into core. I have to look at like how Django templates work. I studied the code. I kind of have kind of upper level review of like how I am gonna build it, and I studied the code of the actual Django template partial project. I studied the code. I tried to open template related PR in Django repository and also in Django template partial repository. Because when you open a PR in a repository, you kind of have to go through all the code, run the test, and you get more familiar with the code. So that was my first thing that I did. After that, I started to look at like the discussions that were taking place, because for bigger projects, most of the time the discussions are already being taken place in the forum or in the Discord or on the GitHub. So you have to research like what is the community saying, and you then have to like figure out what is the actual correct way that the community will accept for that project. For this project, there were not much of conflicting ideas. It was kind of simple. We knew like what we were doing, and so that was kind of simple. So when researching the actual code, I found a PR that was merged in Django 5.1 for this actual this was the prerequisite for like actually integrating this package. So I found that code, that PR, and I found we have this in Django 5.1. We added extra data properties for that parser. So that was the kind of the mind state that I was in when actually preparing for this project. Please don't open PRs using AI. If you don't understand the issue, if you don't know what you are doing, don't open the PR. If you open the PR using AI and annoy a person, organization person, you forget about GSoC. You are never getting into that organization. So please don't overuse AI, and first use AI to understand the problem, and then actually humanly try to solve that problem. So now we are gonna actually see my proposal, and I'm gonna talk you through the every section of the proposal. There are many mistakes that I realized that I made when I was actually actually working on the project. So I'm gonna point to my mistake. But what you can actually do is you can actually go see old proposals. People post their old proposals in their GitHub in discussions. For Django, there is Django forum, so people sometimes post their proposals there. So you kind of have an idea like how other people are proposing and how other people are presenting their ideas. So this is the main thing. Motivation is kind of not very important. I think the most important section of your proposal is gonna be your introduction. So this is my old introduction for 2024. So I kind of started with what I'm doing, and the most important point that is actually gonna get you accepted, one of the most important point that is actually gonna get you accepted will be this, how you interacted with the community. The goal of Google Summer of Code is they want to find person that are gonna actually remain in that community and actually want to contribute even after Google Summer of Code. So that is kind of the main point. So if you have not even be active in the community, you have not opened any PR, so the trust factor there will be a lot less. I have about 15 PR that got merged in Django packages repository, and that was because I was part of the Django node space. So I opened another PR in the actual Django template partial repository that we were gonna merge into Django core. So I used Django template partials in a PR that was part of Django packages.org. So that was kind of related to the project, and this was the PR that actually got merged into Django. And I kind of like I actually linked those PRs, so like there is a kind of a proof that you actually worked on that. So I also opened a PR to actual Django Template-partials repository, that the actual package that we were gonna merge to the Django. So this PR got closed. This was not merged in. This is the like most important part that is gonna got merged in. I named my mentor for Django Node Space here Jeff Triplett, because Jeff Triplett is kind of a known name in Django community, so that was a plus point kind of. So the actual proposal, these upper things kind of don't matter, because if a project is already being discussed, these motivation and stuff will not matter. If you are actually proposing a new idea, then these things matter, the actual usage and the motivation behind it. That actually matters. If you are actually kind of creating a new idea, the idea is already there. For me, like Django Template-partials was already there, so for me the motivation part and stuff like that does not even matter. So here are the mistakes that I actually did. There are a lot of mistakes in this proposal, like this thing, this because I did not implement it actually. The advice I will give is like you should actually implement your proposal in some way, because you will know then like what you are proposing. You will know like where you will face the issues and where your actual idea will actually fail, where you will break the old rules, where you kind of, and with AI it has become very easy now, so you should actually kind of try to implement your proposal. Because here I kind of propose this is kind of right, but the actual method that we did was kind of different. So it was not completely wrong, but it was somewhat wrong. So other parts are like okay. My actual proposal presentation I think was not very good. There are a lot of greens, and I don't think this was that good. Because after I saw some other proposals, that is another mistake I made. I did not look at other proposals. That was my mistake. I should have looked at them. I saw other proposals after submitting mine, and I was so pissed that I did not saw other proposals because they were so much better presented. My proposal is not very good. I focused too much on the code part, but that is kind of right also. You have to do it. And my scope was also not very detailed. I just like I did not do actually timing, because I knew like I cannot actually have the exact timing. So here I kind of proposed this was another mistake, not mistake but like a wrong hypothesis. Like we were gonna implement another like module, but that we did not do. We actually but these are the things that I am saying that are mistakes. These are the things actual mentors will help you with. My like one of the greatest part of this project was my mentor. We are still in touch, so he helped me a lot with decisions, and he helped me a lot with the actual speed of the PR. Like because Django has something like a release cycle, so we had to do the PR kind of in a has a release cycle, so we had to do PR in a like a timely manner. So it got merged into actual Django 6.0 release. So he helped me a lot with like interacting with other reviewers. He answered many of the questions that I had and other reviewers had. So if you get a great mentor like me, you are lucky, and you will the process will be a lot easier there. So I am gonna upload this proposal to a Google link, and you can actually see that I'm gonna blur my actual contact information, and you can actually see the proposal. I will not advise to use this format and this presentation, because it is bad. It is not very good. I think you should not do it. Conclusion of this video is, because I kind of understand our Asian diaspora, Indians and Pakistanis, we always do things because we want a badge that I have done GSoC, I have cleared this test, I have cleared this test. I don't think GSoC is built for that purpose. It is being used for that purpose for sure, but I don't think this is the purpose of GSoC. You should do GSoC if you actually like that project, actually use that project, and actually want to contribute to it in future. I don't think you should do it just for the sake of like putting GSoC on your LinkedIn. It is going to help. I'm not saying it's not going to help, but I don't think that is the correct way to do GSoC, and I don't think you should do it if that is your purpose. So that is kind of the conclusion. If you actually like the community, and because you like the community, your interaction with the community will be easier. You will have kind of already contributed to that community maybe, so your selection process will be kind of easier. The community will already know you, so that will help a lot. So that is kind of my suggestions as a conclusion. I'm gonna make more detailed video on my Django like my GSoC project in the future, hopefully, and if you want to watch that that video, please leave a comment in the description. And if you like this video and want to see more content like this, please subscribe. And I'm gonna make more videos about GSoC, open source contributions, and my other projects that I'm building. There is an interesting project I'm building called Django Bolt. It's an API framework. I'm gonna make more detailed video about that also. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one.